Good morning. It's Friday morning. It's almost 8 o'clock. I think it's almost time to have my first dram. But before I do that, I want to call attention to something for you. Right up about there, there's a there's a container missing from the wall of whiskey, and there's a very simple reason for that. I have it right here. It is a container that used to contain uh, Scottish barley, heavily peated Islay single malt from Brookladdy, Port Charlotte. And I'm going to reuse this to ship some samples to my good friend David Nicholson in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And he and I would go back many years, probably about 10 years now, watching each other's videos and commenting on each other's videos. And we've even met in person. I went to visit him one time. And he keeps saying, I can't find this here, I can't find this there. That seems to be the same song that I sing about a lot of whiskeys that people talk about. But he says that in Moose Jaw the selection is quite limited. And I've got a few drams kicking around that I can send them, so I'm going to put them in here. And but I need to have some containers to put those drams in, and I've got all of these miniatures, which are the perfect size, 50 milliliters, one pour. You got a perfect size dram. The only thing is that some of these still contain other things, so I got to empty them in order to send Dave some more samples. So I've got like 6 or 7 of them poured already, and they're ready to go. I've got to empty these bottles, wash and sterilize them, and then refill them with some drams that I'm going to send to my friend Dave Nicholson. So without any further ado, let's put this aside for now. I'm going to taste some things that were sent to me by Jackass Whisky and Pinto beans, one of which I'm really looking forward to. This is the Great King Street from Compass Box. Now, I've had 2 of those already, one of which was the Artist Blend, which is a nice, light, bourbon barrel aged kind of easygoing, easy drinking blend. And in order to turn it up a notch, there's also the Glasgow blend, which has the Glasgow blend. It's in this little guy here that looks like it was some kind of a Jack Daniel's specialty bottle. It even says Jack Daniel on it. So that was probably the double barrel or single barrel proof or something like that. But right now it contains the Great King Street Glasgow blend, which I've had before, and I've made a video of it here, and that is for comparison's sake with the Great King Street New York. Now the New York, instead of 43% of the Glasgow, it was bottled at 46% ABV, and this is, I think, getting quite hard to find, as it was a limited release, I think 5 years ago, and for some reason Jackass Whisky and Pinto Beans knows a retailer that still has some stock of it, which is quite remarkable either way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try these. I'm going to take our Great King Street Glasgow, because I'm somewhat familiar with that one. I can always talk about it, and I can it's sort of like a control. I'm familiar with that one. And then there's the Great King Street New York. There's the New York right here. And let's... Ooh, yeah. There's 50 mils of Great King Street New York blend. Okay, I'm going to put these bottles right in front of the glasses so that I know which is which. And just for the sake of doing so, I also have another control Another one that I'm quite familiar with is the Compass Box Lost Blend, or that's what he's got written on here. Another one at 46% alcohol by volume. The Lost Blend is one that I liked a lot. It's 80% of it is something like a 17 or 18-year-old Kleinleich, and 20% of it is a Kalila of unspecified age, probably a young one. So I will put these sideways to get the last drops out of them, and have a little glass of water. And start having a nose and a taste. Oh yeah. This is the Glasgow blend with some sherry notes, dark fruits, and some smoke. The dark fruits is like a sherry, a dark sherry. I think I'm more of a dry sherry. I'm getting things like raisins, plums, prunes, figs, and there is smoke there. It's probably a Kalila smoke, because they like using that Kalila over at Compass Box, just like they like using Kleinleich. There's some vanilla notes in there too with the dark fruits. Vanilla notes, bit of caramel, bit of toffee, but mostly fruity and somewhat smoky. A little bit ashen too, it's like ashes. And even though it has grain spirit in it, and you can kind of pick that up somewhere in between the grain whiskey, or you can pick up the grain whiskey, between the, not the caramel, but the vanilla, between the vanilla and the sense of the darkish fruits. There's a bit of berry in there too, some kind of raspberry, blackberry. Yeah, I think it's a blackberry or some kind of dark berry like that. It's nice. Blackberry, yeah, that's what it was. Good nose on her. Let's go to the other control. I know I've gone 9 minutes already. This is going to be a long one. Totally different animal. This one is a blended malt. No grain in this one. I think my nose is being influenced by the first one. Maybe that needs to open up a little bit, because I'm still smelling blackberry. I wonder if there's a way to cleanse your nose. as there are ways to cleanse the palate. You know, things like I don't have any oat cakes, so I got Cheerios. Cheerios work very well for the palate, but I don't know about the nose. See now. Okay, now it's becoming more familiar. Got that Kalila smoke, and you got that Klein leash, waxiness, which I get a little bit of on the nose, but it really comes through on the palate. Oh, okay, now I've got those two controls that I'm familiar with. This one here is the Great King Street New York blend. It was bottled at 46% alcohol by volume. Try and keep it smooth here. Oh. Oh. This has a lot more caramel, toffee kind of thing than either of the other two. Some vanilla. There's some sherry too. It's more of a chocolatey. It's more along the chocolatey end of the sherry influence. Let's go here again. I'll take it slow. Ah. Yes, taking it slow does give you more. I got to thank Mr. Cox for this one. He's been coaching me while I was going live lately about nosing. Go back here to this one. Oh yeah. And let's go nose back to the New York. Ah, it's malty. I don't pick up much of the grain whiskey in here, although I know there's some. Berries. Blackberries, blueberries, prunes, figs. Lovely nose. What do they say about this? I've got this stuff somewhere on here. And there we go. Okay. New York Blend, limited edition blended Scotch whiskey from Great King Street line of Compass Box. We believe it is time for the world to reconsider the joys of well-made blended Scotch whiskey. That is why we have created Great King Street. The New York Blend is a custom limited edition created specially for this famous city. It is inspired by the origins of Scotch whiskey in the U.S. in the late 19th century and recipes from this golden age of blending, reinterpreted in the Compass Box style. 1894 was a pivotal year in the history of Scotch whiskey in New York. This was the year a bartender named Patrick J. Duffy asked his local wine and spirit distributor, Park and Tilford of Broadway and 22nd Street in New York City, to consider importing cased goods of Scotch whiskey. Until this time, Scotch whiskey was brought into the United States mainly in bulk casks rather than branded bottles. It was Mr. Duffy's initiative that precipitated the development of the Scotch whiskey industry in the U.S. as we know it today. To honor this moment in New York history, we have created this limited release Great King Street whiskey based on an actual recipe from this time period. Back then, blended Scotch featured much higher proportions of malt than recipes of today. The New York blend aligns perfectly with our desire for Great King Street to offer different blends for different regions, people, and tastes. It is a hearty, full-flavored style of Scotch whiskey with notes of smoke, dried fruits, and malty complexity. I noticed the malts and I noticed the fruits. And yeah, there's some smoke too. But the fruits and malt tend to have more of an influence on me, at least. Maybe on the palate I'll get more, just as they would have enjoyed in 1894. Okay, and the Great King Street range. By applying the same skill, techniques, and philosophy that we use for the Compass Box signature range of whiskeys, Great King Street offers a style and approach to blended Scotch that has not existed before. The key is using individually chosen casks from some of Scotland's best distilleries, a high proportion of malt whiskey, truly excellent quality grain whiskies, and the careful use of new and different styles of oak aging for added complexity. It is bottled at a natural color and without chill filtering. We call whiskeys made with this approach craft blends. John Glazer, whiskey maker. Yeah, he's one of those superstars of the blending world. And so, let's give a taste to the Glasgow, which I'm quite familiar with already. Okay, I nosed it slowly. Beautiful and complex. I get the fruits. Do it again. I get fruits, I get some sweetness. I'm getting initially an aftertaste of smoke. And it's really hard to tell it's not like a typical blend. A typical blend, you taste the grain whiskey in there right away, but this one, you have to hunt a little bit to find the grain. Dark fruits and berries, coating the inside of my mouth, all over. Sherry on the tip of the tongue, dried fruits all around. Aftertaste of smoke. It's an ashen smoke, like the smoke you get in Big Pete. Ashen. Very, very nice, very fine. I like it. Big, bold flavors. Now we go to the New York blend at 46%. The Glasgow was only at 43, but it tastes bigger than that. Oh, I'm getting Tootsie Roll chocolate. Milk chocolate. I guess that's the effect of the smoke and the dried fruits, giving me that Tootsie Roll kind of thing. You know, when my nose and palate were less educated, I didn't pick up chocolate in anything. Now I pick it up almost everywhere. Maybe it's because I like chocolate and I'm not supposed to eat it much, being diabetic and all. But this is a lovely nose too. Let's go for the taste. Mm. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's the berries and dark fruit. There's a maltiness on the tip of the tongue where there was a bit of a sherry note on the Glasgow. This takes it one step beyond that. It's the 46% ABV. Malt on the tip of the tongue, dried fruits and berries all around, dark dried fruits and berries. Figs, plums, dates, all that kind of thing. And berries, blackberries. Definitely blackberries, maybe some currants too. A lot of fruits in there. And because of the maltiness, I have to taste that again. The maltiness and the fruits play opposite each other. Okay, slow down. And that's mostly what I get on the nose. Dried fruits and berries, and a maltiness, a strong maltiness. What came across as toffee and caramel on the nose comes out on the tip of my tongue as a maltiness, but the maltiness sort of morphs. It sort of changes as it goes. And it comes back in layers of caramel and toffee, and then it comes back in a layer of maltiness and a layer of caramel and toffee and maltiness. And it's a little bit sweet on the aftertaste. Interesting how the smoky notes do that. How they kind of fight with the caramel notes. Which ones are going to be prevalent? Meanwhile, that's just on the tip of my tongue, where to the back and on the sides and all around is dried dark fruits and berries like blackberries and blueberries all over. And then towards the very end, there is that little sharpness that can only be as a result of grain whiskey. Not malt, but the grain asserts itself in the aftertaste at the very end. At the very end, that's that little bit of harshness from the grain. Very interesting, fascinating dram. Now I'll go back to the Lost Blend just for completeness sake, as we kind of sandwiched this New York blend right in the middle and get the last out of that bottle, the last drops. Okay, and the last here. And you know what? I might even add a bit of water to all of these, just to make it a total 3-in-1. Okay, what else to do on a Friday morning when I got to work tonight? It's only 8 o'clock, it's early. Well, 8:18, but who's counting? I usually go to sleep around 10, 11, something like that. And yeah, so what I'll do is torture you with this long video about Compass Box and King Street and why I like it. Oh, there's the Klein leash. That fruity Klein leash. That waxy Klein leash. And that little bit of Kalila. Oh, I love this stuff. I should go get another bottle. I've gone through 2 or 3 already, and I love them. I love this stuff. The price is probably going up because it was a limited edition. And when did I get it the first time? 2 years ago? Okay. Thank you, Jackass, for sending me the Lost Blend. And of course, the New York blend. That New York blend is hard to find. I'll never find it here. But the Lost Blend is just creeping up in price. Just like Big Pete did before Christmas. Big Pete was like, a year or 2 ago, Big Pete was like $89, something like that. Then zoom, it's $150. I think it was still $150, $160 last time I looked. I don't think I'll be getting Big Pete again, even though it's wonderful stuff. Oh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh. Just as wonderful as I remember it. You get that Klein leash waxiness in it. I gotta have some more Cheerios. I'm still tasting the New York in there. I'm still tasting all those berries and fruits from the New York. Hopefully I don't run out of Cheerios. Do that again. Loverly. Mm. Mm. There's that caramel toffee and that waxiness. And then it's accentuated by the peat from the Kalila. Lovely. One of my favorite blends of all time. Second only, I believe, to maybe Johnny Walker Green Label. Now, let's do a couple drops of water, just for the sake of doing so. Even though I have been going on long. Ooh, a little much. But if you've been watching me so far, You know I have a tendency to go on a little bit. 3.5 drops, approximately. All right. I think this brings out more of the fruit. Now it's adding a chocolate note to the Glasgow blend, which wasn't there before. It's removed some of the nose. Made it gentler. Made it less fruits and berries. Uh-oh. So I've paid to get my chocolate by losing the fruits and berries. Let's try that. Quick taste. Curiously, very curiously, I don't think water does this one a favor. Because now I'm getting a lot of chocolate on the nose. The dark fruits are moving aside. They're moving aside and making room for chocolate. There's a hint of olives too. More chocolate on the nose and olives on the taste, on the palate. Weird. I never added water to Glasgow blend before. I don't think I'll do it again, although I do like olives from time to time. What does it do to the New York with water? If anything, there's more chocolate here too. The fruits are still there. They've moved aside a little bit. Berries are still there. That Tootsie Roll chocolate thing is stronger than it was before. On the palate. More chocolate. Cocoa powder. And yet the berries are still there. The fruits have kind of, the dried fruits, the dark fruits have kind of disappeared. Now I'm getting berries. Blueberry, blackberry, raspberry a little bit. A lot of berries here. Berries and chocolate. A bit of smoke. There's a bit of smoke in the end. It's the kind of smoke that reminds me of rubber bands. And it's kind of dry and ashen as well. It's not a bonfire, it's a burned out bonfire. It's not mineral smoke, it's more of a organic smoke. Yeah, ashes. Ashes. Not getting any of that maritime brininess at all. It's just not there. And over here, going to the Lost Blend. I'm going to have to get another glass of water to finish these. What I'm going to do after this video, well, I'm going to edit it. I'm going to add little bits and pieces in there, pictures and stuff, and I'm going to finish these with another glass or two of water, and then I'm going to watch some whiskey videos, because you can never stay on top of the things with the amount of subscriptions I have going. And I like to learn a lot. I like to learn what other people are tasting, what their impressions are, and then I get to develop a sense for who has similar nosing and palate to mine, and keep learning more on this terrific little journey, the whiskey journey. Okay, let's go. Oh, that combination of 17, 18-year-old Clynelish with that peat of Kalila. It's a similar approach to what Jackass was doing with his Canadian 40 Creek Copper Pot and Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye, and adding Talisker Storm to it. I think that's what he added. What I added to one of them was Lecheg 10 and Lagavulin 8. And to the other one, I added Big Pete and Lefroy Glore. I'm going to have to taste the Big Pete and Lefroy Glore one again. That one has more copper pot in it than the other one. Maybe a bit less Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye. But I digress. Delicious. Well, slancha.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Yeah.